Hey, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Happy Tuesday to everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. Welcome to Red, White, and True News, or welcome back. If it's your first time, welcome here. We appreciate you being here, taking time out of your day to spend some of it with us. Welcome. We're the channel, the country, right? Where life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is alive and well. Hope everyone's doing good today. Hope everyone's all ready for Christmas. Spend it with your family, your friends, your foes, right? So as you come in, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and yeah, we're doing good over here. Got some exciting things coming down the pipe. Big plans for the channel. Still fairly new, but doing really great. So glad to have you guys here with us. So we probably wait a few more minutes for more people to show up. I wanted to do a midday live stream. I'll get into it here in just a few minutes, but there was some breaking news right before I came on about the Mar-a-Lago raid. Yeah. Everybody remember that? I mean, how do you think? You think it's legal to just go, knock the doors down at somebody's house, whether it's a shack, whether it's a hut, whether it's a daggum mansion, or one of the world's largest mansions? What does it matter? You should still have a warrant to go in there, right? Yeah, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot more coming out about Mar-a-Lago. So we soon will find out. Let me see. Let me fix this one couple of things here, and then we will get going. Okay, got that. Got that. Got that. All right. Is everybody ready for Christmas? Are you shopping done, or you like a lot of other people? You do it the night before. Get into all the crowds. Yeah, it's geez, I did that once, man. I was like, oh, I'm never gonna do that again. Go hit these daggum stores at the last minute. All right, so what I wanted to get into here, and doing some research these last couple of days, the younger generation revealed what they want older generations to stop doing, and it might be hard to the older folks. Yeah, this is let me see here. Move this over here so I can see everybody. Yeah, it's I was baffled by this. That these well, I mean, I'm not in the least bit surprised, but turn these comments on. Hang on just a second here. But I mean, I wasn't, not shocked, I guess you could say, but some of this stuff is just incomprehensible to me. as I said, the younger generations, these are things that they want the older folks to stop saying, because it affects their life, it affects the country, it affects their way that they do things. I mean, it's you're gonna be shocked to hear some of these. We asked the Gen Zers and millennials of the community to tell us what they wish their parents and older generations should know or stop doing. And honestly, it might be hard to hear this, but the message is so important. Here's what they had to say. Number one, I think older generations should stop running for political office. What? Okay, now, I mean, with all due respect, these older guys and women that are up in their 70s, 80s, not that they're not sharp, because a lot of them are, but we need a lot younger people in politics. I totally agree. But to say they should stop running for political office, everybody has that right, a law-abiding citizen in this country, to run for political office, right? So, I mean, and I did a video earlier this morning. I think I have it set to release at I think it's 1:30 Central Time. So, but I mentioned in that video about 100-year-old colonel that I know. This man still drives back and forth to Virginia, from Virginia to Florida. He's a retired colonel in the Army, served 42 years? Yeah, I think 42 years in the Army. Served under 6 presidents, was in Vietnam twice, the Korean War, World War II. I think he was in Mogadishu. I can't remember. But anyway, nonetheless, he got out in Desert Storm. This guy, I mean, has furniture in his house from his great-great-grandmother, pre-Civil War days. Not a blemish, not a flaw in that stuff. Nowhere. You go in his house, in his closet, all his pants are pleated, all his shirts have plastic on, like they just came from the dry cleaners. His shoes are wrapped in plastic, addressed to the port and starboard side. Well, us Navy guys, we call that the left and the right. But just, I mean, this man was, fine-tuned from top to bottom. 100 years old. But my point is the stories that I sat and I listened to this man say is just mind-boggling to me. And I can sit and listen to old timers hours, days, weeks, months, years, because the wisdom that they have to pass along to other people is just phenomenal. And the younger generation ought to take time, sit that phone down, turn that computer off, turn the gaming system off, get out of their bedroom, get out in public and learn how to socialize and talk with people, the things that they could learn. Because let's be honest, social media ain't teaching you nothing besides the fact to hate people because you disagree with them. Right? So I would encourage these younger people, get out there and listen to some of these older folks. Man, they can teach you something. I've learned a bunch in my life from the older generation. So, yeah, that's quite a statement to make, from, being Gen Z and millennials. Let's get on to this number 2. Older generations should stop saying no one, This generation doesn't want to work anymore. When lines are long or a business is short-staffed, it's not that the younger generation don't want to work. We are unwilling to let our jobs and careers take precedence over living our lives. Salaries are negotiable. Time is not. Think about that for a minute. That's the mindset. That's the mindset. Wow. We're unwilling to let our jobs and careers take precedence over living our lives. Salaries are negotiable. Time is not. But you still got to work to live, right? I mean, yeah, okay. I don't know where they're talking about salaries are negotiable. They might be when you first get hired, but that don't mean that doesn't say that the employer is even going to hire you, right? Hang on just a second here. I just got to write this down real quick before I forget it. But I mean, I don't know about you guys, but where you've been to work, were your salaries negotiable? When, besides the fact when you first got hired? I mean, it's after you're employed. I mean, you're not going to tell your employer, hey, hey, if you don't give me $5 an hour raise, I'm out of here. They're going to say, okay, hit the door, Jack. Right? And sometimes, even when you do get hired, there ain't nobody going to want to negotiate your salary. It is what it is. You know, we're going to pay you between $12 and $15 an hour to say on the application. Well, chances are you're going to get the low end of that. Unless you're highly experienced, then you might get the 18. You know? Hang on just a minute here. Give me just a second. But I mean, to say that, you know, you ain't going to go work for this company or this entity because they don't want to negotiate a salary with you. No. That just tells you the entitlement of this younger generation. They have the entitled mentality. They just do. I get this or else. Right? Yeah, it's anyway, sorry, I just had to write that down before I forgot it. Yeah. Number 3, we're not exaggerating. These are quoted now. We're not exaggerating about the hopelessness of the cost of living. Buying a home now is genuinely more difficult than it was in the Great Depression. Well, it's more difficult now. Yeah, I totally agree there. But to compare it to the Great Depression, our wages genuinely do not cover our skyrocketing food costs. We are struggling more than you ever did, and we were and will try. What? We're tired of being told we're being dramatic. I think it's supposed to say we're tired of being told we're being dramatic. All we want is to be comfortable, not rich, just comfortable. Okay, well, if the skyrocketing food cost is your wages are not covering that, so go get a second job. That's what we were taught to do. You got to work 3 jobs. I was raised by a single mother that was in beauty school and worked a full-time job to raise 3 kids. But she didn't sit home and whine about it or waited for somebody to pay her bills for her. So go out and get a second job, right? I mean, just kind of if you see a pattern here, I do so far, and I'm only on number 3. Number 4, stop telling us to have kids. If we say we don't want any, assume we mean it. Don't tell us, oh, someday you'll change your mind, or it's better to have kids than to end up alone. Please, I'm begging, respect our opinions and know that our world shapes our views differently than it might have shaped yours. Huh. Well, I mean, that's part of the American dream, is to have, start a family and have kids, get married, have kids. Kids bring so much joy to your life. I mean, yeah, okay, they, we have two. I mean, our kids are grown now, but I mean, they brought us so much joy to our life. Yeah, they're kids. They're gonna disobey. I mean, you got to reprimand them, and and things like that. But humans aren't made to live their lives alone. I mean, we're not. I mean, some people, they're just wired that way. They can go live in a van and travel around the country. That's where their job takes them, or if they're unemployed or whatever they do, retired or whatever. But majority of people are not made to live life alone, you guys. We just aren't. So, a good life is no longer defined by marriage, a white-collar job, and a white picket fence with 2 kids and a dog. I think many of us just want to be happy and find something that fulfills us and gives us a sense of purpose. As long as someone's being a decent human, it's not my or anyone else's place to judge them or define their worth. If a person is happy and fulfilled, being single and childless, let them be happy. Stop bugging us to get married and give you grandchildren. We don't know you grandchildren. You calling our generations entitled is the pot calling the kettle black. Do what? Who's telling them to have kids? You know what I mean? And I mean, it is an entitled generation. I don't know so much about the millennials, but the Gen Zers, yeah, they have an entitled mentality. That's just calling a spade a spade. I mean, I don't know so much about the millennials, though. I mean, calling the kettle black here, I don't. That's just an opinion, but I mean, for you to have children, that gives your parents grandchildren. Instead of just thinking about yourself, why don't you think about your parents that raised you to the person that you are now? And think about the fulfillment that your children, i.e., their grandchildren, would give them in their golden years before they pass along and they're no longer around. So I always try to look at things from 2 perspectives, or sometimes 3, and kind of look at the other side of the argument or the quote or the situation, whatever it may be. I always just try to look at things from multiple angles. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I mean, I can understand some of that, but it just sounds like it's almost like a selfish mentality, though. Number 5, I once quit a job before having a new one lined up because of sexual harassment. My boomer, talk about baby boomer, father's response was to call me a snowflake and that I needed to just get used to it. Sexual harassment is unacceptable and I refuse to be told otherwise. Okay, I agree with that, but it doesn't say how old that the person is that made this statement, if it was a millennial or a Gen Zer. Number 6, Zennial here. Okay, older generations have a lack of investment in the future of our children. My parents have ample leisure time, own their retirement home, and actively volunteer in their community, but they seem to feel little responsibility for their grandchildren. They only have two. They live half an hour away, but only see them for an afternoon every few weeks. Our relationship is good, but they don't put in much for their grandkids and don't seem to care much about the world they're being left with. Older generations have a lack of investment in the future. What? So, again, like I just said, I like to see things from or look at things from multiple angles. I mean, I get part of this, but to say that an older generation has no investment in the future of their children, that's not a valid statement. Not any of the older generations that I know. Not at all. No, no, that's so maybe they're just basically referring to their family. They can't speak for everybody here. Number 7, stop telling us that we could afford a house if we just learned to sacrifice like they did, blaming our financial woes on extravagant living rather than the increase in the disparity between wages and the cost of living over the last 50 years. I have a year old small sedan that is paid off, and I haven't been on a plane or more than 500 miles from home since 2005. All vacations are camping or weekend road trips to budget motels. I follow a strict budget with no debt, and all my income that doesn't go to bills goes directly into savings, HSA, or 401k. I have a good professional career, and I still can't save enough for a decent down payment with these housing prices. Now, I can understand that. Housing is it's unaffordable right now for a lot of people. It's why you find that a lot of the younger generations they're living with their parents because to go put a down payment on a house, you're talking 20% most times. So you need to have $20,000 or $30,000 laying around to qualify for a lot of these loans out here. I mean, the days of not putting anything down on a house are over with. I mean, interest rates are going to come down a little bit more, I think, in Q1 next year. They just came down another quarter basis point. Was it last week, I believe? So, yeah, I mean, the prime right now for a home loan, I think is like 6%, 6.5% or something like that. So a lot of people are waiting. I mean, they're just kind of sitting back, waiting for these rates to go down, which the interest rates should have went down already a lot further than they did. Jerome Powell's doing this on purpose, y'all. He's doing it on purpose. Like he's called Too Late Jerome. So, yeah, I mean, I understand what this person's saying right here to an extent because housing is unaffordable. I mean, you never really see housing prices come down. Never. I mean, they kind of level off, but the days of seeing, $150,000 house that's now $250,000, you're not going to see it back down to $150,000. Ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen. Number 8, millennial here. I wish the older generation would consciously try to get to know younger generations. My parents, for example, think that everything my grandmother recommended is the only right answer and won't listen to new ideas or realize outdated information doesn't always work anymore. I try to get to know the generations younger than myself, Gen Z and Alpha, because some of their ideas or insights can improve life, like not living to work, but working to live, normalizing therapy, etc. What is Alpha generation? I don't even know. What year are those people? Do you guys know? Let me see here. Alpha generation. 2010 to 2024. So that would be almost tying into Gen Z, because Gen Z goes to 2012, I believe, right? Huh. Number 9, I wish they'd stop thinking they're owed anything just for being nice to you. Okay, yeah, that's like, yeah, sorry. My parents seem to think you can take a pile of your CVs around town. See, this is younger generation stuff right here. They talking in these abbreviations. I'm sorry, I don't know the abbreviated language. So you walk around town talking about CVs. Well, what the heck's a CV? We just supposed to guess what your CV is? My parents seem to think you can take a pile of CVs around town, hand them out, and have a job by the end of the day. They don't understand the job market isn't what it once was, no matter how much we want to work. CVs. The heck is that? Yeah, job market isn't what it used to be. You know, I was in government work for 16, 17 years. Went back into the private sector in management. And I couldn't believe. I honestly could not believe, because I'm from the generation that, you know, an honest day's pay is an honest day's work. While you're at work, you're there to work. You're not there to play on your telephone. You're not there to, you know, you're there to work. And I had a guy that the first 2 weeks I was there, he called out of work like 4 times. Then he didn't show up to work. And then when he came to work, all he was doing was whining and complaining when he was asked to do something that he wasn't going to do it. Well, that's insubordination. Well, I ended up firing the guy. Wrote him up twice, and then the third time I fired him. Well, then I'm told by my management that I can't fire people. Excuse me? What are you there to do? I'm not here to babysit a bunch of grown men and women, hold their hand, walk them around every single place, and show them how to do everything. Furthermore, I'm not going to tolerate somebody that doesn't show up to work, because at the end of the day, you're no good if you ain't there. Right? This guy was a younger generation. He was in his early 20s, calling out of work all the time. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. I mean, at one point I went like 8 or 9 years without missing a day of work. 8 or 9 years. No matter, see, even like when we were kids going to school, if you were sick or you didn't feel good, you went to school and you toughed it out. We didn't go see no doctor unless we were really, really, really sick. You know, eat some honey and some lemon, that'll soothe your throat. Now it's like they want to give you drugs and medicine for your hair can be out of whack and they want to give you a drug for it. Go run down there to emergency care, or what do they call it? Urgent care. They'll fix you up. Go run down there. No. Not us. So I carried it over into my adult life. No matter how bad you felt, you still went to work. Now, when you're real sick, you got to be respectful of others. You don't want to get other people sick. But at the same time, every time you wake up in the morning and you just feel like, oh, I don't want to get out of bed today, so I ain't going to work. No, yeah, you are. My boys, yeah. Yeah. I don't remember the last time my kids ever missed a day of work, because they were always taught that you go to work, you do a good job, you show up on time, and you give it 110% while you're there. You know? But I hear stories all the time. Little Johnny, man, he just don't want to get up and go to work today. So he's going to lay in bed. And his employer's supposed to deal with that. Now, the flip side of that is that you call in, I'm speaking for the state of Florida, is you basically, all you got to say is that, I'm not going to be able to make it in today. You don't have to legally have to give them a reason. But it's a right to work state, so they can say effective immediately when you show back up to work, they can say effective immediately your job is vacated. Bye. They have that right. So, moving on. Number 11. Please at least these are quoted now again for everybody that's coming in later in the live stream here. Please at least try to learn the technology if you are working age. Millennial here. My coworker is around the same age as my mother. We keep our important documents, the ones we use every day, electronically in Excel and mostly in Teams. My coworker refuses to use the Excel document to track and update. She handwrites her own. I discovered this yesterday when she talked about changes, and I had no idea what they were. Huh. Sorry, I think StreamYard cut out there for a second. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's good. Huh. I don't even know what that means. I mean, she keeps stuff in Teams and Excel, but her coworker writes the stuff down like we used to. Growing up, we didn't have GPS. So you know what they do? You're going to somebody's house, they'd write down on a napkin of how to get to their house. Or they tell you over the phone, the house phone that had a cord, 20 miles long. The phone will ring, you go in there and answer the phone, you run to your room. Yeah, how do I get to your house? They go, well, you go down so-and-so street, you see the light pole, you turn left, there's going to be 3 trash cans down your right, you turn right there. Then you go down another mile, you're going to see a mailbox laying in the road. Somebody hit it, just turn left at that mailbox. And then you go another about half mile down the street, and you'll see a garbage can lid laying in the street. You turn left at that garbage can lid. What happens if the garbage can lid's gone? Well, there's another light pole there. You turn left at that light pole. Or whatever. We didn't have no GPS. Matter of fact, I still have an atlas. And I still use it from time to time. I'll still use it just because that's the way I was raised. I enjoy looking at an atlas. So I don't know what this lady's talking about. Maybe she's mad because the lady writes stuff down. I don't know. They should know, number 12, they should know we're not someone trait have mind. When my age or generation gets brought up in conversation, so many boomers and GXers' minds default to the worst possible stereotype. Quote, all Gen Zs are lazy. Think this way, vote that way, and it's not true. There is so much more to a person's character than their birth year. And it's time we see each other as individuals rather than numbers and groups. Well, I mean, yeah, I can see that. This person's 18 years old, by the way, that made this comment. We live in an age of libels. Everybody's got this identity politic crap going on. I get so sick and tired of hearing this race stuff too. Oh, us black men, man, that black guy, all because that coach was black. It's not about race. You make it about race. No, because that guy's Hispanic or, that guy's white and, that's the reason he got that job. Again, you make it about race. When you open your mouth, it ain't about race. Again, we live in an age of identity politics. It's like the scarlet letter around your forehead. Leave your race card at home, man. Throw it in the trash can. Nobody cares. Last I checked, you put your pants on one leg at a time, just like I do. We all bleed red, white, and blue. We live in America. Or for people overseas, you live in your country. You know, people just, they create this stuff, and it's like you just repeat it, repetitive. Leave it alone, man. Leave it alone. Number 13, older generations should know just how to be normal in a retail environment. I've worked retail since high school, and the amount of older people who act nasty towards me is wild. They've had jobs, they should know what it's like. When I say honestly, I don't know, because that's not what they trained me for. They were young once. They should know what having a first job is like, and the anxiety and confusion that comes with working with people, and the constant, well, if it didn't ring up, it must be free jokes make me crash out every time. This person's 22 years old. I will say, with these jobs, I mean, I had people showing up to interviews in pajama pants. They had jeans on with holes in them. You ask them a question and they couldn't answer a very simple question. It's almost laughable. Even resumes, the quality of resumes, the way that people put them together, you know, being in management, okay, when I looked at resumes, you know, you get people that they want to type out 5 pages of stuff, and they want to tell you where they worked all the way dating back to 1912. You know, as a manager in management, when you interview people, when I did anyway, I looked at that objective line, that first line on page number 1. That objective line told me everything I need to know. But then you'd get people that wouldn't, their objective line was just crap. All right. Well, then they tried to cover it up, you know, make it look, spice up the resume further on down the resume to cover up, or to cover for the crappy objective. You know, well, you ever heard that saying, the first impression is the lasting impression? After I get past that objective line, nah, your work history ain't going to save you. You know, so these young people, they really need to study up on how to do interviews, ways to answer questions, how to sit in the chair, where to put your hands. Leave that at home. In an interview, you tell them what they want to hear. You don't lie, but you tell the interviewers what you think they want to hear. You're basically selling yourself to the employer, or to the HR director, whoever's interviewing you. You know? Number 14, in business, I find that many people from older generations have the mentality, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, which also makes them very resistant to change. Things don't need to be broken to be improved, though we could still be using typewriters, fax machines, and paper paychecks. Fortunately, we now have computers, emails, and direct deposit. If you're not on board for innovation, that's fine, but at least stop standing in the way. Now, this person's 37. 37 years old. So that's, I would say, probably that's a millennial. 15, stop buying investment properties and investing in private housing equities. Our ability to live in our own homes is completely destroyed by your retirement investments. What? What does mine or anybody else's retirement investments have to do with private housing? What are you saying? Because somebody used their retirement money to go buy up investment properties? Is that what this person's saying? 31 years old from Arizona? I don't know. You tell me. Stop buying investment properties and investing in private housing equities. Our ability to live in our own homes is completely destroyed by here. I don't even know what this person's talking about. 16, older generations should know that we're not just your kids. We're also adults who have seen a lot of things, been through a lot of things, and learned a lot of things along the way. You will gain nothing if you continue to see and trust us as the children we once were, not for who we are now and what we've grown up to be. 34 years old. Another millennial. Know that we're not just. But again, it's like these people think they're speaking for everybody. You know what I'm saying? I don't. Okay. 17, I wish older generations would stop blaming people for being unemployed. You can't make someone hire you, and it took me years to unlearn the idea that I'm a moral failure for not having a job despite my best efforts. Well, I guess you need to try harder, or maybe change up the way that you're doing it, because it sounds like to me that when you were applying for your job or jobs, that you weren't doing it the right way. Because here, I'll read it again. I wish older generations would stop blaming people for being unemployed. If you can't make someone hire you, and it took me years to unlearn the idea that I'm a moral failure for not having a job despite my best efforts. You're not trying hard enough. So you probably went out and applied for one job or maybe 5, and then went home and sat on the couch and expected those 5 jobs to come to you. You probably never picked up the phone again to call and follow up with these employers to see if they had a chance to look at your resume or your application and or both, and then, follow up with them. But, this person probably went home and just waited on them to come to them. No, ain't your best. I would just about 99.9% guarantee you this was not this person's best efforts. I would love to know how many jobs that he or she applied for and then constitute it's my best efforts. It's kind of like when you go fishing. You put 10 fishing poles in the water, sooner or later one of them fishing poles is going to hit the water. But if you go and you put one fishing pole out, you're going to sit there and you're going to twiddle your thumbs, or troll and keep driving around the lake until you catch a fish. Same thing with a job. Saturate the market. Go put 20 applications out, and sooner or later you're going to find a job, right? It's again, it goes back to the entitlement. They think they're entitled, that job is supposed to come to them. They're not supposed to go find the job, right? As we used to call them, the job. Hey, sorry, I just had to do this real quick. Hey, man, welcome everybody. Glad you're here. The younger generation just expects everything handed to them. Exactly. That's exactly right. Hey, Chris, how's it going, buddy? And whoever else is here, I just saw somebody else pop on. Had some earlier. I've been on, I don't know, about 45 minutes, but just going over this. This is quite interesting. I'm down to like number 18 now. But this is basically the younger generations reveal what they want older generations to stop doing, and it might be hard to hear it. Which some of them are. I'd encourage you guys to go back and listen to the live stream again. Some of them are pretty interesting. Yeah. Some just are. I mean, it's just, I couldn't even believe some of them were even it came out of somebody's mouth, but nonetheless. Number 18, quit giving advice on how to deal with pretty much anything financial. And these are quotations now. Quit giving advice on how to deal with pretty much anything financial or political. Previous generations fail to address the most serious issue destroying the quality of life for our generation. The unbridled greed of the wealthy and their never-ending ploy to get wealthier, ruining the lives of those who aren't. Quit giving advice. Okay, so they were not last one. Yeah, exactly. So it goes back to like what I was saying at the beginning, how I could sit and listen to the older generations for hours, days, weeks, months, in the analogy that I gave about that 100-year-old colonel that I know. That it might behoove these younger people to put their phone down, turn the computer off, shut the gaming system off, shut the light off in the bedroom, close the door behind you, and leave and go out in public and conversate with people and learn. You could sit down and learn so much from the older generation. It is unreal. You know how much I've learned from older people that are older than me, whether it came to framing up a house, whether it came to, you name it, man. I could give you a laundry list of things. Rewiring panels. I mean, it's the proper way to turn a pair of channel locks. That's to simplify it a little bit for everybody. There's a proper way to use a pair of channel locks. Which way do you turn? Which way do you put the channel locks on a boat, Chris? So when it bites, when you turn it, you know what I mean? Young people that I've seen, including my own children, I had to teach them this too when they were younger. It slips. It doesn't get a good bite, right? A pipe wrench, it's the same way. The way that the teeth are on the pipe wrench, if you don't put it on there right, that pipe wrench, it's not going to grab on what you're trying to turn. Simple things like that. That these young people, you can go out there and tell them right now, go grab me a pair of needle nose pliers and a hammer and come back over here with them. They'd probably go to the toolbox and grab you a crescent wrench and a daggone pair of side cutters. I mean, it's like just simple things, man. When you have to go work on stuff, what are you going to do? I hope you got a deep wallet so you can pay somebody else to do it for you. Because I can assure you, if something breaks in my house, I don't care what it is, there's a very good possibility I can fix it. You can get underneath the sink. You can get up on top of the roof. You can jump down in the septic tank. There's a good possibility, I guarantee you, I can fix it. AC runs out of refrigerant. Break in the copper line. And the chase going out from the air handler to the condensing unit. Chances are I can fix it. But these young people today ain't got a clue, man, when it comes to, and I've said it and I'll say it again. We need more tradesmen in this country, folks. I'm telling you. These trade schools out here, thankfully, I have heard that there are more people getting into the trade field, which is good. That's very good. This country needs tradesmen, welders, pipe fitters, electricians, plumbers, framers, concrete men. I mean, you name it. We need them. Not everybody's a white collar guy. Not everybody's cut out to be an investment broker or a real estate mogul or a lawyer or a brain surgeon. God made us all different for a reason, folks. We were all the same, we wouldn't be here. So if you're a young person and you're listening to this video later or now or whenever, and you're in high school or you're fixing to graduate high school or whatever, go down to your local trades, your tech school, and look at, or go on their website and look around at some of the trades that you can get into. These hands ain't going to learn on their own. You got to teach them. And there's only one way to learn how to do something is to get out there and do it. Yeah, you're going to mess it up. You're going to screw it up. But the more you do it, the more repetitive you become, the better you get at it, right? I'll never pretend to know everything because I don't know everything. But I'm glad to learn. And I'm not. There's one thing I've never been afraid of, and that's work. Anybody that knows me will tell you so. Let's see. Number 18. Quit giving advice on how to deal with pretty much anything financial or political. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I already read that. And then it goes down to this, that these older generations ended up normalizing the wealthy, bribing, lobbying politicians to enable them to get wealthier by ruining the lives of everyone who isn't. Too many of them, we're into worshiping the wealthy to the point of allowing them to nullify decades of laws and statutes meant to keep their greediness in check. Offers blind as long as they say they encouraged hating those who don't look, live, or pray like them too. In reality, they should have banded with those who weren't wealthy, no matter how different they were, to stop their assault on the quality of life of all Americans and never allow the wealth gap to end up what it is now. Huh. Well, I mean, you know, if you're a real estate mogul, you're not gonna like minds. You become friends with like-minded people. It's not that you're better than someone else or you try to separate yourself from someone else, but it's like what I just said. Some of what I just said is that you learn from other people. So like for instance, so somebody in real estate ain't going to want to go hang out every single day, you know, while they're trying to find real estate deals with a pipe fitter. You know, it's like the saying goes, surround yourself with good people, you get good results. Right? So I don't know, you know, some of these are coming from, you know, this person is 17 years old from Washington, D.C. So as we have seen in this day in which we live, let me be careful how I say this here. Let's just say people from other states think differently. They're a little bit more radicalized in their thinking, if anyone knows what I mean here. So I guess you kind of it's kind of hard to rationalize. Let's just say it's kind of harder to rationalize with certain people. You get what I'm saying? I mean, you know, if I'm a you know, a guy that's a real estate investor, or not real estate, but like an investment broker, I don't want to go hang out with the guy on the street corner selling dope, right? You become what you're around, in layman's terms. And then finally, here's number 19. Older generations, remember that all generations that come after you are only what you make them. The politicians you voted for, the school referendums you approved or denied, the lifestyle you led, and the ways you raise your kids all contributed to how the younger generations live and deal with the fallout. Give some grace. From a 40-year-old from Wisconsin. Know, this is quotations. Know that when I'm raging against the problems your generation left us, I'm raging against people who caused those problems. I'm not attacking Vietnam protesters, freedom riders, anti-pollution advocates, or the Jimmy Carter, Walter Mondale voters. It does suck. I know that as a millennial, whenever I see a boomer acknowledge that their cohort mates screwed us over, it is such a feeling of relief. I think that's what most of us want, at least an acknowledgement that things are messed up, and most of it happened before we were born. Comes from a 49-year-old. So that would not be a Gen Z or millennial. That'd be a Gen Xer. Following Gen Zers and millennials, what are some other things you want older generations to know? So, yeah, you know, going back to what I just said here, it's quoted, and I'll read it one more time. Older generations, remember that all generations that come after you are only what you make them. The politicians you voted for, the school referendums you approved or denied, the lifestyle you led, and the ways you raise your kids, and all contributed to how the younger generations live and deal with the fallout. Give us some grace. Okay, as I've stated before, I look at things from multiple angles. Part of this is true, but the other part is that your life is what you make of it. You can't blame what your life is today on, past generations. So yeah, politicians that are voted into office, yeah, okay, do affect things later on down the road, but you can't blame the way that someone's life is 20 years from now, based on politicians that are elected right now. Yeah, the way they spend money and stuff currently, yes, well, okay, point in case. The way Joe Biden and his people just ran this country in the dirt. I got news for y'all. Your kids and your grandkids will feel the effects from this for years to come. This is not going to be fixed in a Trump term. Yeah, he can stop the bleeding, of course. But to rectify what Joe Biden just did in 4 years, ain't going to happen. They better elect a conservative for the next 20 years. They really want to clean it up. They join the military, it'd give them a good start in life. Their parents didn't. Exactly. Yep. Well, like they say, Chris, you want to know a lot about the kid, just look at the parent, right? I mean, we have a duty as parents, man, to, to raise our kids as products to society and not a menace or a parasite or whatever you want to call them, bottom feeders or something where they just live off the dole and, like most politicians do. Never worked a day in their life. Majority of them didn't. But yeah, it's yeah, you're absolutely right. Parents can blame themselves. They're standing in a courtroom next to their child because he stole from a store or, he shot or robbed somebody or whatever. And the parent wants to get all mad at the child. Well, chances are you look at the mother, or you look at the father, you look at both. They probably got a rap sheet too. They've been in and out of jail. Not in all, but majority of cases, that is the case. The parent is the kid's just like them. Just like them. I hear it all the time. Well, so-and-so, man, he was, he's all meth because that's all his dad and mom did when he was a kid. You know what? No, God gives him free will to think for himself. And he's got a life. He's got to live it. His mom and dad being meth addicts ought to give him ever more the ambition not to be a meth addict. So, no, you can't blame that on his parents. He can think for himself. You know what I'm saying? It just, yeah, the blame can be placed on the parents. That's absolutely true. But when these kids are younger, man, they look at mom and dad and they're on that crack pipe every day. Man, that, well, you hear it a lot with these athletes. Oh, man, I was in the hood, man, growing up. Man, my dad and mom was always on the street corner selling drugs. Man, I knew I didn't want to be that way. So I got out of the hood. When I was able, I went to college or I played football or baseball or whatever it is because I didn't want to be that guy. Hats off to them. A lot of them don't turn out that way. I mean, I want the best for everybody in their life, but at the end of the day, we all have choices to make. And all too often, man, it's, what is it? All else fails, fix the blame quick, blame it on somebody else. And you know what I've always told my kids? You never want to be a man of excuses. Man of excuses, you that shows weakness in you. Don't make excuses, man. You be a man of your word. When you tell somebody you're going to do it, you do it. And if you can't, you don't sit around and make excuses for yourself. You man up, you pony up, and you say, oh, I'm wrong. I did it. I couldn't make it, or, I screwed up. Take the whipping and go on. But don't sit there and lie or make a total fool out of yourself. Oh, well, no, man. I ain't got a tolerance at all for that crap. at all. How about you, Chris? What do you think? I guarantee your boy wasn't raised that way. You put a boot off in that boy's butt. Anyway, you're probably working, man, out there driving around on a tractor. You ain't gonna be able to comment. I understand, buddy. Parents are a mirror of their kids. That's absolutely right. Absolutely right. Dang, phone's been ringing off the hook today. So before I go, there was some breaking news right before I started this live stream. FBI doubted probable cause for Mar-a-Lago raid, but pushed forward amid pressure from Biden DOJ. Yeah, they would, because it's a thin-skinned America, Chris. They couldn't take it. Ain't no way in the world. It's like that old Bob guy I was telling you about the other night. There ain't no way they could take that guy for 5 seconds. He didn't care who you were, what you were. That old boy there would tell you straight up to your face. He would, man. I learned a ton of stuff from old Bob. Very little has been developed related to who might be culpable for mishandling the documents at Mar-a-Lago. The FBI did not believe it had probable cause to raid President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago home in 2022, but moved forward amid pressure from the Biden Justice Department, with an official saying he didn't give a damn about the optics of the search. Nearly declassified documents reviewed by Fox News Digital. Fox News Digital reviewed emails between FBI and the Justice Department officials in the months leading up to the August 2022 raid of Mar-a-Lago, with FBI officials expressing concern about a lack of probable cause to execute the search warrant on the then former president's residence in Palm Beach. Very little has developed to who might be culpable mishandling the documents. FBI official serving as an assistant special agent in charge wrote to another FBI official, Anthony Reidlinger. From the interviews, WFO has gathered information suggesting that there may be additional boxes, presumably the same type as were sent back to NARA in January at Mar-a-Lago. WFO has been drafting a search warrant affidavit related to these potential boxes, but has some concerns that the information in a single source has not been corroborated and may be dated. The official continues. DOJ opines, however, that the search warrants meet the probable cause standard. Quote, even as we continue down the path towards a search warrant, WFO believes that a reasonable conversation with the former president's attorney, stating that the FBI and DOJ are readying a search warrant and had developed information that there are more documents at Mar-a-Lago, ought to be discounted. At a minimum, even if the former president's attorney is correct and the documents were all declassified or believed to be declassified, it can be reasonably argued that the documents remain sensitive and should be properly secured until the matter of classifications is sorted out. The conversation could easily be accomplished at the same time. The WFO presses forward with the investigation and continues building out the search warrant. Weeks later, an FBI agent writes in an email stating, quote, we haven't generated any new facts, but keep being given draft after draft after draft. Another email revealed that the FBI's Washington field office did, quote, not believe and has articulated the DOJ CES that we have established probable cause for the search warrant for classified records at Mar-a-Lago. So I am sure Well, as Trump said yesterday, that there's going to be a lot more coming out on January 6th, and others is all he said. Telling you, man, that's why they did not want this man in office, because he is going to expose every bit of these people and their corruption, and I can't wait. But you know what we've been used to, though? Ain't nobody is ever held accountable. But I can just about promise you that's fixing to change. That's fixing to change. And the video that I did this morning, I think it came out at 1:30 Central Time, so it'll be 2:30 Eastern Time. So it should have just came out that Dan Bongino may be leaving the FBI. He's gonna decide in the next couple of weeks. So, I mean, as much as I'd love to hear him back on podcasting, because Dan Bongino is a great dude, man. I've listened to him for many, many, many years, dating back to Fox. He's a straight shooter. He's more of an independent than he is a conservative. I mean, a Republican. Yeah, he's got more, independent views and things like that. But the dude is he don't care, man. He just says it the way it is. And I know, like on the show he used to do on Rumble, that he swore that pipe bomb case needed to be solved, because he had inside sources that said that there was something up there. Well, as we've seen, the pipe bomber was arrested. Could have been and should have been by a Christopher Wray FBI and a Joe Biden administration. Took them 10 months. They arrested this man. Okay, they're saying, well, he was a Republican and he wasn't happy with the election. They're trying to put all that on Trump to sway it away from, Kamala Harris. She was sitting in that DNC building where that pipe bomb was sitting, in front of that park bench on January the 6th. She kept lying and saying that she was at Capitol Hill for the certification of the vote. She's a liar. She was not on Capitol Hill. She was sitting in that DNC building, and that bomb was supposed to go off, and it was Donald Trump tried to kill the vice president-elect. You guys watch and see what happens with January the 6th. I stick by it, and I'll say it again since the day it all happened. Is that all Donald Trump played into their cards? He played right into it. I can just about guarantee you. I watched it live on Facebook. Those Capitol Hill police officers moved those barricades out of the way and waved those people into that building. Now, you're breaking windows and stuff like that? No. That's the people's house. You're allowed to go in there. But to break in there? No. But now they do know that there was FBI informants embedded in that crowd. Came right out of Dan Bongino and Kash Patel's mouth. That was all a setup, y'all. I'm telling you. I am telling you. I'd hate to see Bongino leave the FBI, because he's a squared away dude. But I'd love to see him back on his podcast too. And if he leaves, I'm sure Kash will find somebody else that's, just as good, if not better than Bongino was. But I don't know. Him and Kash are good friends. I don't know the full story about why he would leave. I know he was kind of like, the Epstein files was another thing that he was adamant about when he was on podcasting before he took over the FBI job. He was adamant about getting to the bottom of that. But since he took the job, he came out with Kash and said, look, there's not a list. I don't know what you guys want me to do. Speak this into existence. He was speaking as a podcaster before behind the scenes, that he didn't know all the full, the information that was out there. Just, trickles of it came in. And then he gets in office and takes over the deputy director job. And then, look, if Donald Trump was in those Epstein files, does anyone think for 1 second that buffoon that just left 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, January the 19th, do you think for 1 second that stuff would not have come out? They tried to get the guy any other way, including killing him. Yeah. And like I said in my video, that this morning that Bongino even stated on his podcast that he was on a flight with Bill Clinton as a Secret Service agent detail. Epstein was on that plane. Him, Epstein, Clinton, and 2 young girls went to the back of that plane. Bongino couldn't vouch for anything that happened. Never said anything about what happened. Didn't know, didn't want to speculate, whatever. Anybody can come to their own conclusion. But when that plane landed, every single Secret Service agent's phone was seized. He was in the Secret Service when it happened. So we know something's up with old Billy there, old Slick Willie. Something's up with him and old Jeffrey Epstein. Sorry, I got to chew on a cough drop here. But you understand what I'm saying? I mean, it just, I don't know. So, but anyway. All right, folks. Well, I just wanted to get this information out to you guys and, read this stuff about this younger generation. I thought that was kind of interesting. Kind of just gives you their train of thought here. Some of them, how they think, and this entitled attitude they have. But anyway, all right, y'all. Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. And till next time, we appreciate everybody being here and taking time out of your day to spend it with us. And we'll see you on the next one. Till then, take care of yourself and each other. God bless y'all. Bye for now.